Welcome, my friends, to the show that never ends. And as you see, we are going to appear on our programme, aren't we, Kieran?
Oh, I see. Yes,
You're a friend of Gary's and decided not to bother coming to work today?
Oh, so that's the approach you're going to take, is it? That's an interesting one.
Yeah, good.
To be fair, it's going to be good because I have very little opinion. Whereas it sounds like you have an opinion, so that is good to know.
Oh, well, I've got an opinion. I've got that opinion. Everybody's got an opinion, surely, about everything. Well, maybe not.
Well, but sometimes my opinion can be that I don't really mind.
Well, right, okay. Well, we've got little time on Wycombe, really, because the season is over. We've got Gary Lineker and buddies, and we've got long throws into the box. The data. Does it work or doesn't it? That's fairly quick. And then, of course, we got looking at what happened over the weekend and next weekend. So let's get going. Because as per normal, Kieran has begged me to keep this short. And it never is. So
how long do you want a podcast to be? We're not here for 2 hours.
Hours, mate. Hours. I'm quite happy just to...
I said, can we keep it to an hour? That seems pretty sufficient, I would argue.
Sufficient. That's a long word. Okay. Let's go. Did you watch the highlights? I think Paul might be there. Actually, Paul might have gone. Lucky him. Have you read anything about it? Watched the highlights?
I didn't really read anything about it, no, but I did see the highlights.
I did read about it. Yeah. Well, it looked reasonably equal from what I read. We hit the post, missed a penalty. They had a player sent off. So we had a few chances.
It's not good, is it?
25% win rate. That's a sacking. I know it's only 4 games. Won 1 game out of 4. We've just played the team right near the bottom.
Yeah. But are we not the first people to say you've got to give a manager more time than they do necessarily get these days?
Yeah, I'm not going to go through his throat. I think I've made my opinion of him pretty clear. Sorry, that's not fair. It's not him. I just don't think he has any experience of any style of football other than one. And because he's never played anywhere else or been under any other manager, he's only done one thing. And I don't think that is any... I think you've seen more styles of football than he has. Remember, he doesn't watch it either. He watches his own.
It's not true at all, is it? And you know it's not true.
No, it isn't true at all. No, of course it isn't. But
I know what you mean.
Is he unlucky that he has only won 1 out of 4? Is he unlucky?
Well, I mean, this one that's just gone, you shouldn't obviously lose to Burton. Their second goal is a bit of a worldie in League One terms. We do hit the post. Yeah, we do hit the post. We do miss the penalty. Whether that means you actually go on and win the game is a different matter.
They did have a player sent off halfway through the match as well.
Which we always typically say doesn't play to our advantage because that means we get more of the ball and we don't normally want that.
That's right.
I think Bloomfield's... There was evidently a thing that he would be the manager after Ainsworth. But was it supposed to happen this quickly? Probably not. If he's had another year under his belt at Colchester or wherever, I would have been much happier. Him becoming our manager, whether he plays the same style or not, because over that time he would have to adapt to various things. I don't think There should have been one more person between
Yeah,
Ainsworth and Bloomfield.
yeah, yeah.
Even if it was, I, I'm trying to think of someone from inside Wycombe who could have done it. I suppose the assistant manager would have done, but he obviously went with Ainsworth. Even giving it to someone like Jacobson, maybe until the end of the season, kind of thing. I don't think it would have been a heck of a bad option. Apparently, he was the manager for about a half an hour period um, before they went and got Bloomfield.
That would have
So
been interesting, wouldn't it?
I
That would
assume
have
he'd
been
be.
interesting.
I think he'd be someone who would go into management afterwards. Um, I'm not saying it should have been him or anything, but I don't think it was Bloomfield's time this early on,
No,
and
no.
you shouldn't. I don't think Ainsworth would have lost. He very rarely lost to teams right at the bottom. I mean, of course, all teams very rarely lose to teams at the bottom. However, for us, it was a thing where we do need to grab our 3 points.
To be fair, the pitch was.
It did look crap, didn't it?
It did. Okay. And I thought that was the mistake of the penalty. That should have been just whack it, shouldn't it, on that ground, rather than try and eye up in a corner job. That wasn't the pitch for it, was it?
Well, I mean, he tried to go high down the middle, and he didn't need to put it so high, did he?
Not
Obviously,
that high. No.
not that high.
I don't think. I think that was a wrong choice on that pitch. I don't know. Who am I?
It's frustrating in itself in that Bolton again dropped some points.
We'd be in there, you know. We could have been in there.
Had we been on the run that we were, we would have probably been in there at this point. Which is frustrating. There's still a good chance. Like with 2 games in hand, we do go level on points with Bolton if we win those 2 games, of course. But like, it's not a foregone conclusion yet, but it's unlikely.
We've just dropped 8 points in 4 games.
Yeah, it doesn't look great.
8 points in 4 games we've just dropped. Not good. Ainsworth won.
Do
His first game he's won. And he's out there with his arm up in his cowboy boots.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So he's got his win. So hopefully he'll be all right. Sort of part of his fault, really, for leaving. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel over happy with him dropping like that.
I don't think it was a great time for him to leave, was it?
Not for him and not for Wycombe.
No.
And I'm a little bit about it, really.
And it wasn't like QPR were particular, like they're now 10 points in front of the relegation zone, so they're a decent number of points away from it. So it wasn't like QPR were in massive danger. I don't think.
I mean, he has, for a team that he says he loves, he has rather dropped us, hasn't he?
Yeah. I think would he regret it? I'm not sure, but it's not brilliant, is it?
It's worth taking note, I might add. QPR I mentioned how much they're losing money. Well, I've actually got it here. They're losing £474,000 a week at the moment.
It's pretty good.
£474,000. Before he went, they'd only recorded 1 victory in their last 17 matches. And I think they've only played 3 with Ainsworth, and he just won it. So they certainly can't suggest that they've gone downhill since he's turned up. The fact that they've won a game out of 3 is pretty good going for them, actually. So, yeah, but he's not going to have any money to spend, that is for sure. Not with those losses.
Never did before, though, did he?
No, which is possibly why they got him, didn't they? Because they can't do anything. They're going to have to scrape with what they've got. And so maybe he was the perfect manager for scraping without anything.
Yeah.
Oxford could bring it up. Lost again.
Hey.
What's that? 10 on the trot, is it? 1 point out of 10 matches, I think, for Oxford.
It's pretty good.
I wonder if they're going to stay up. Have you got the table in front
Just
of you?
getting it.
Because
They are 19th on 36 points and in 21st, and Morecambe with 33. So they're 3 points above.
wouldn't want to be an Oxford fan right now, would you? 1 point in 10 games.
Yeah, they have. And that draw was against MK Dons as well. So a game they really should have won.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like they actually scored a couple of goals because they lost to Derby 3-2. So that wasn't a bad score in one sense. It's just another loss. And the further you go down the table, then all the teams are such better than you and bigger than you and doing better than you. So you should, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen to them. I mean, that'd be amazing if they go down, wouldn't it? I mean, it wasn't that long ago. They were beating everybody. What? Sorry, that's me playing with my chair. Sorry. It raises up and down the handles.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's better than the one that we gave you.
Well, I'm glad you've had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah. It doesn't. Does it recline? I don't know. I'll lean back and sort of,
Wow.
Well,
what lifestyle you live.
I know, great. Isn't it? Do you know there's hardly any games left this season?
No, you just got. We got 11 games.
Yeah, not many to go. Not many to go.
Flown
so
by.
If he's going to do anything, he better get on with it. Really. I guess I'll go into the next game. Am I next Saturday? Must be the next one.
Well, we've got on Tuesday we're playing Bristol Rovers away.
Oh right, okay. So I won't be going to the next one.
And we're at home to Barnsley on Saturday, which is big.
Ooh, so Bristol Rovers. He needs. Well, I mean, what does he need? He needs to beat everybody. I mean, that's the answer. But hey,
Quite honestly, yeah. He just needs wins.
I mean, that's a bit obvious,
normally go,
really, isn't it?
Well, you'd normally go through fixtures and be like, oh, you could probably get a draw here, maybe a 4 to lose that one kind of thing. But at this point, because of the results, he just needs to win games.
Well, we'll move on. And we're going to come to Mr. Lineker. I'm going to be a bit careful, okay? I mean, we've all got opinion, including Gary Lineker, and that's half the problem. Now, let's make this clear. He broke the rules. He signed paperwork to say what he's allowed to do and what he isn't. He broke those rules, full stop. He knows he broke the rules. And that's that. Yeah. People who have broken the rules at the BBC, I could list them that have been sacked before. There's some that we all know and there's some we don't know, but there's a list of them. Every time somebody pops in with a political comment, they are open to being sacked from the BBC. He was asked to step down, wasn't he? But wasn't sacked. Okay. What he had to say doesn't matter in a say. But he did back a party. He did back the Labour Party and suggested what was said by the Home Secretary was behaving like or talking like Nazi Germany. He didn't use the word Nazi, he used Germany in the 30s, but that is Nazi Germany. Okay, that's strong political statement that he wanted to make on Twitter. He can make that comment. It is a country of free speech, but the BBC can't allow people to do this simply because the BBC has to try, and I say try because it's difficult 100%, to try and stay down the middle. You cannot have, say, if a newsreader came on and said, God, you won't believe what the government's come up with this time, you think, goodness sake, how are they allowed to do that? But if Gary Lineker does it, is that okay? Well, he's got his opinion, and I think fine, but he does sign a contract saying he won't do that. A newsreader actually did once do that. She made some comment. She was, when Boris Johnson didn't stand to be leader at one point, she actually came on and laughed about it, and made some comments about thank goodness or something. And she was sacked. You see, you can't do that. Now, if he doesn't, that's fine. Great. That's the way it is. There are people, of course, at the BBC, and here's your problem, who also do things and aren't sacked. That doesn't make what he did right. In the end, when you focus on him, he broke his contract. That's it. I don't understand why all the others are saying, oh, we're behind Gary, you know, and all packing their bags. And Gary Lineker was on $1.5 million a year or something, earning a bomb. He doesn't need the BBC. It was probably time for him to go anyway. I mean, he was a lazy bugger sat on that chair, just making daft comments. And it was just a thing between him and Alan, you know, and the occasional good laugh by old Wass's face in the corner because he's got a funny laugh to him. And it you know, who scored more goals? I would have scored that if I'd been in the penalty box. I mean, all that, it got a little bit daft, I thought. And every time, but anyway, that you know, that's what I thought about that anyway. But that isn't the point, whether we want him or we don't want him. He broke the contract. Tough.
Yeah, I think he's probably seen, because Gary Neville has been very, very strong about his political views as well.
But on what?
Not in relation to this, but in relation to a lot of.
But not on the BBC.
Things. Not on the BBC.
That's
I
the
know.
Point. It's about the BBC.
No, but the point is that he's probably seen. Well, Lineker's probably seen other pundits, and probably the most famous pundit now in England, Neville,
he can go to
express
Sky
his views
and make those comments if he wishes, but but not the BBC. I'm afraid he can't.
I mean, I'm surprised it's only come up now because following on Twitter, he does say a lot. Lineker he's evidently not down the middle with a lot of the things he says, and of course he doesn't have to be, but he does go out and say it an awful lot.
As a youth worker with opinions on lots of different things, I can't go into work and start ranting and raving about my political views and pass them on to the kids. No matter what I think on that. I am there to help and advise, but not, or even to shove my faith down their throat. And that's what I mean. That's pretty big to me. But there's rules about what you can and what you can't say. And everybody that just throws this whole thing of freedom of speech, no. Otherwise, can you imagine in the schools if teachers were allowed to pass all their political beliefs on, whether you agreed with them or not, to your kid in the class. You would go mad. You can't do that. There are rules and there are places to pass on, and there are places of freedom of speech. But one that is not is the BBC. If you work for the BBC, you cannot do that. And that's of. And I don't know why all the others backed him, because they're just throwing their careers away. I think of what's her name that I think's really good.
Alex Scott.
Alex Scott. She's on everything. Well, what's she doing?
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't understand that. If she must have signed the contract, she must have read it beforehand. She must know that he broke the rules. But anyway, interestingly enough, on the Athletic that I read and partake in, they did a match of the day style expert analysis for the Saturday night, and there's one bit at the bottom where one of them so they talked about each game as they would on match of the day, except they'd got a bit more knowledge about football, and so it's far better. And in my opinion, I'm allowed to have my opinion on this, but there was one of them on one of the matches who wrote and pretended to write as they would write during. So they did the analysis on the Tottenham game, and they'd written what Gary Lineker would probably say, like, right, a fairly straightforward win for Spurs then, but it would have been even more comfortable had Richarlison's early goal stood. Alan. But our old friend VAR intervened, and Alan said, well, this is just ridiculous. I know we end up talking about VAR every week, but this was one of the daftest offsides we've had, blah, blah, blah. And so. And so they did and it was really quite funny, I have to be honest, when they brought Ian Wright in as well to see what, Underneath that, there's lots of people's comments about what's happened to Match of the Day, and it was 2 million up on viewers than the previous week last night.
No, really.
Without any commentary. You didn't see it, I presume.
No.
It was 20 minutes of match after match after match with no commentary and nothing in between, and that is as much football as we would normally see. And it's 20 minutes. So it did not waste my Saturday night having to sit and watch it for an hour and 15 minutes and just listen to managers and Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer. And people's comments on here, I was waiting for all the backup on them, and the comments. And all the comments were basically saying, excellent, really good without them. Thank goodness for that. Breath of fresh air. Somebody wrote, I used to do this with MOTD anyway. When I catch up on Sunday mornings, I skip from action to action, bypassing the predictable chat. And he's got tons of, agreeds on there. And so it goes on. And I put something about, I put, that was like a breath of fresh air. Please just do your write up and let's just watch Match of the Day like that every week and don't waste my Saturday night. And I got tons of ticks saying, yeah, keep it like this. It was good. It was good. Do it again. Just keep doing that. Anybody interested in football, it was perfect. You got to watch the highlights of all the games and then go to bed. 20
Fair
minutes.
Enough. To be fair, I mean, having heard your side of what the story, I didn't think about it before, about obviously him breaching his contract. Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, I accept he's got opinions, and if he wants to air them, he can now. If he wants to work for Sky and air his opinions, he can. Nobody's stopping him.
Do you think he should be allowed to air his opinions?
Not on the BBC, no.
No.
But it's all never going to work perfectly on the BBC. It's always going to have problems with this, simply because how do you keep totally out of politics with anything.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. I believe David Attenborough's program on there about the British Isles at the moment is just started. I believe one of his they dropped as well. One of his programs out of the series they dropped because of his political comments about the way the country is dealt with. Now, I don't know. You just gotta. They can't allow everybody who works for BBC to make political comments. It's just not. It wouldn't be right. And I think it's just something very difficult to keep. That's the trouble. He isn't being used as a scapegoat, and I'm sure they didn't think what is happening is happening. But tonight we get BBC Match of the Day 2, it's same as we got it last night, which is excellent. That was the first time I watched Match of the Day on a Saturday night for ages because I knew it wouldn't waste my whole evening. I mean, it normally is about an hour and 10 minutes or something, isn't it? Hour and 20.
Yeah.
And yet they only have 20 minutes of footage that they show. And the rest of it is just made up of people talking. Isn't that amazing? What a waste of time.
At least no one was speaking about Liverpool, eh?
Well, exactly. You can make your own opinion. We'll get to that. Kieran.
Yeah.
I've just said rather a lot. So we'll do it in a slightly different order because people are probably fed up with my voice. Let's go through the games, shall we? We can't give ourselves stuff
points. No.
Because
we didn't do it.
We didn't do it. So let's kick off then with Bournemouth 1, Liverpool 0.
Yeah, well done to the boys after winning 7-0 against United last week and beating Bournemouth 9-0 earlier on in the season. We decided now it's a good time to lose to them. Salah missed a pen. That was cool. Van Dijk had a thing off the line as well. You just do wonder. Like, it was more about United being bad last week than it was about us being good. And people being like, oh, Liverpool are back. No, we're not. No, we're not. It's just frustrating knowing the games we've got coming up as well. We've got Madrid, City, Chelsea, Arsenal. All as our next 4 games. I mean, flip knows what's going to happen in those. So, yeah. But
they got Real Madrid, haven't they? Wednesday.
In which you try to overturn a 3-goal deficit at the Bernabeu. You'll be lucky.
Why is the game on Saturday postponed against Fulham? Any idea?
FA Cup, innit?
Is it? Right, okay. So, which is the real Liverpool, do you think?
There isn't one at the moment. Because it's just, I was saying to Nathan yesterday, the Premier League is the most inconsistent league in the world. No one can continue to win football matches. United were on their incredible run and then lost 7-0. They're currently drawing 0-0 with Southampton at home. And all these sort of things. The only team who have been somewhat consistent have been Arsenal. And even then, they've dropped points against a couple of teams you wouldn't expect them to do so. But then wouldn't it be so easy just to say, oh, well, City should win 38 games out of 38 each season? And obviously that's not going to happen.
No.
But, yeah, Liverpool are still in need of a lot, i.e. midfielders. And the thing is, apart from midfielders, you look at the team and you're like, I don't know who I'd replace in there. This is the problem. Because the defence, you got Trent, Van Dijk, Konate and Robertson. It's like, oh, that's all right, isn't it? And Alisson. Midfield obviously needs improving, but then up front you got Salah, Gakpo, and Nunez, and you're like, oh, well, I can do what they did against United, then I'm more than happy with that. But obviously, it's not what is required. So,
Alexander Arnold, whatever his name is, Trent
Alexander Arnold
thingy, said, "This is the time of the season when everyone knows what they are fighting for. And obviously, Bournemouth are in a relegation battle. They are fighting for survival, but every team in the league is fighting for something. So it means a lot to get the 3 points. I think looking back on it now, they probably wanted it more than us." I don't like that comment. Is that right? Do you think?
well,
That's a fair thing to say?
he could well be right. And he's fully accepting that that's not a good thing. You could be saying, you could be looking too much into things and like, oh, they're suggesting that the other team tries harder than us. I mean, who knows? But it wasn't like Liverpool players, I imagine, weren't trying. I don't think that's really ever the case in football that often.
No, it's a rarity, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he's just said it as kind of a. He's just made it as a comment. I'm not sure he really means it in the way it could be analysed. Everton won, Brentford 0.
Yeah, that came as a little bit of a surprise to me.
Everton, well, Brentford losing their first game in 13, I think, to Everton, which is quite a rarity.
How's Gordon playing for him? Is he all right?
He's not at Everton anymore, mate.
Oh, no, of course, that was it. He left, didn't he? That was the
Yeah.
point. Yeah, he wasn't very happy there.
No, he wasn't very happy with how Everton treated him, supposedly, even though he's like, what, 21 or something, and, wasn't there for that long. I don't know, it wasn't like he won them a trophy or anything. I don't know what he wanted. But he's not even that good at football, so I don't know why he's popping off. Leeds versus Brighton, 2-2. Looked like quite a good game.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I watched the games without the commentary. That was a fascinating one. Bamford's goal, the first one, excellent. What a good goal. I like Bamford. I think, Bamford's goal. Yeah, Harrison scored the second for Leeds. Interesting. Yeah, because it's a 1-1 2-1 2-2. I thought it was a fair result 2-2. I enjoy Leeds football. It's working on a theory, we'll just try and score more than you do attitude. Not good style of football if you're a fan. Entertaining if you're not, and you don't care what the outcome is.
I mean, the second goal from Harrison as well was a really nice goal. His own goal, not so much. I don't know what he was doing there. He just sliced into his own net kind of thing.
He did, didn't he? Yeah, not the best. Not the best.
Leicester 1, Chelsea 3. Look like Chelsea kind of deserved it, to be fair to them. They also look like Leicester weren't actually that good at football. And they haven't been this season. They're very much near the bottom. And they're not far away from being in that relegation zone. So, I mean, they are literally level on points with Bournemouth in 18th. So it'll be interesting to see how that one pans out, because all the teams at the bottom are very close. So we shall see.
Well, for Chelsea, he's old Potter drew, lost, and now 1-1-1. So everything comes in threes, a bit like the bus. But he's beaten Leeds 1-0. He beat Dortmund during the week 2-0. And he's just beaten Leicester. Interesting, though, because it's the lineup that here the change is he's got Chilwell playing. And also players that sort of that are around are what's the other the winger guy at the back Chelsea.
Kukurea?
No. The fullback
Reece James?
Reece James. He was playing, wasn't he, during the week, and that made a hell of a difference. But do you think he's finally there then?
No.
Do you think Potter's found his foot?
No.
You don't?
No, I mean, looking at the team now, it's still a decent looking team, but like they're not near being what they could be. Like the back three of Fafana, Koulibaly, and Kukurea does not do me any confidence whatsoever. So they still need a centre back. I still think their midfield's lacking, and Reece James does get injured an awful lot. Like he wasn't involved against Leicester at all. He wasn't even on the bench. They still don't have a striker, so I'm not sure they are all there. But me saying all that, that's just they need to spend money, but they've already spent about £1 billion. So I don't know how they're going to spend even more. I'm sure they'll find a way.
Tottenham 3, Nottingham Forest 1. During the week after the midweek thingy, when Tottenham got kicked out of the Champions League, what is their problem? Antonio Conte accuses Tottenham fans of having no patience in his project. Does he think he's got a project then?
Whenever we speak about Spurs, I don't understand why the assumption is they should be doing so well. Because it's not like they've done well for so many years. Why is everyone assuming they should be, up there and winning trophies? They've won one in the 21st century. Like they're just another team that could break into that top bracket of teams.
Is it because they've got one striker that we all know?
Probably. And they've got some other. Son obviously used to be world class.
Used to be.
Yeah, can't say he is anymore.
Being the point.
Yeah.
Richarlison did well on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he did. He had a good game. He made a really big difference to them. But I don't get Conte. Why? I love the comment that Conte made. Conte admits Richarlison has been shit this season.
Yeah.
Because did you read what he said during the week?
Yeah, Richarlison said he wasn't getting minutes and his season's been shit and all that.
Yeah. And Conte's comment about he admits he's right said that's because he's been injured and not played very well.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what he meant when he said that to you.
Well, they've got to communicate somehow, and if that's what he's saying, then maybe that's what he thinks.
Okay, and Crystal Palace 0, Manchester City 1. We'll come back to 1 second.
Good.
Yeah, so Manchester City beating Crystal Palace. Palace at home 1-0. Penalty, Haaland.
Yeah. I said too much you can really say, to be honest. They find a way to win, and that's what's important at this moment in time for both City and Arsenal.
They deserved it, in all fairness.
Probably. Crystal Palace didn't have a shot on target again for the third game in a row.
Is that a record? There's another team, wasn't there? There's two teams that haven't had a shot on target for 3 games. Who was the other one? I can't remember.
No, I thought it was the first one, they said.
It is the first one, but there's another team playing this weekend that could have been on that list as well. And I'm trying to think who it was.
Well, unless it's Man United or Southampton, because at the moment, no, they both had shots on target. Yeah, everyone's fine.
Okay. So except for Crystal Palace, what is their problem? Well, obviously, they're not taking shots on target.
No, which seems like quite a simple thing just to do, doesn't it?
Not a lot to say, really, that City one. They're still chasing, but I think as game goes past and past and past, so their chances of catching up 5 points disintegrates enough that Arsenal can afford to lose to them and still win.
Yeah.
And that you didn't really want. When do they play each other? Is that Shoon? I don't know what's a Shoon matches.
She means shortly.
Well, it's a while away yet. April, end of April.
Yeah, you've got April. There's so many games in April, blimey.
And Arsenal have only got 4 games after that. No, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4. There'll be 5 games after that City game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that could be an interesting one, couldn't it? Okay, well, let's look at today's scores. They're just popping up as sort of coming to the end now. We'll work on the theory Arsenal beat Fulham. They're 3-0 up, and we're in the 90th minute or 91st minute. So, walked it. I watched it, some of it, obviously, before we did this. Saw 2 of the goals. There's one. I was thinking that might be a bit of a tricky one. That one didn't look tricky at all. They're just so much class and confidence. United 0, Southampton 0.
Yeah,
United's ground.
Casemiro has been sent off for the second time in 3 games. Yeah, it's not a good result for them at all, realistically.
That was after 34 minutes.
Yeah. But, I mean, if it was against any other team, they might have been in trouble in terms of even being able to get a point. But luckily enough, it's Southampton, so they're fine.
Expected goals for United was 0.8 at home, admittedly, after that amount of time. There's something not right here at United. I know they lost 7-0, and again during the week, people were saying, they're fine, 4-1, they're back. They're back after 1 game stuff, or they're down after 1 game stuff. Load of old crap. There aren't many stable teams in this football league at the moment, are there?
No.
Every team looks like they can win and lose.
It's most inconsistent. No, they can still trip up very easily. I still think they'll go for a period in which they may lose 1 or 2, because every team has that during some point in the season.
And then we've got West Ham 1, Aston Villa 1. Bit of a bore, eh?
What else? Yeah.
That was very predictable. I would have got my 3 points for that.
Doubts.
And then later on, we got Newcastle Wolves, which I shan't bother with that one, I don't think. He says thinking about it hard. Maybe I will.
You won't have time, will you? I'll
be out tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going to a concert tonight. Right. Last piece that is 2 minutes, 3 minutes, etc. I'll just ramble this data out to you and see what you say. Okay. On average, 4 times a game, teams get a throw-in in the opposition's half from the 18-yard box to the corner flag. So they're in an attacking position. 4 times, I don't know why I put 5 fingers up, 4 times a game. On average, they're going to get a throw-in from the 18-yard box to the goal line. Attack. Okay? They are 15 yards away from the opposition's box. So why don't more people throw the bloody ball into the box? You always hear people shout about, just get the ball in the box. Why don't they throw the ball into the box? Very few actually do. So few use that as an attacking option. Now, if you add 30 seconds to the throw, how many times does that lead to a goal from a throw-in? Okay, now here you go. Remember, you got to add 30 seconds to each throw, not 5 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds. In a short throw, you've got the chances of scoring a goal from a short throw in that space is 0.01 expected goals. That's 10 goals every 1,000 throw-ins in that area you score. Okay. But throws into the box from that area is 0.022 expected goals. That's 22 goals every 1,000. There is something like just over twice the chance of scoring a goal by lobbing it into the box. There is the danger of a counter attack, and that counter attack, like a corner, the counter attack is for every short throw in you take, there's 2 goals scored for every 1,000. So you'll score 10, they score 2 from your throw in 30 seconds. Okay, but in a throw into the box, they'll score 3 every 1,000. But remember, you're scoring 22. Now, which teams use that method and which teams don't? Well, the top 3 teams that use the method are Brentford, Southampton and West Ham. The 3 teams that don't use that method at all are Wolves, Everton and Aston Villa. Now, in 30 seconds, the chances of scoring within 5 seconds is 0.008, because the chances of you throwing it and it going straight to somebody's head who heads it in the box or somebody's foot who taps it in is remote. The reason why most are scored after that time is because all you're creating by throwing it into the box is chaos. And in that chaos, the ball rebounds, it's loose, the defence get rattled, everybody falls over, and it lands up at somebody's feet. So most teams, why don't they use it if the figures suggest you can score a goal? Well, it's because, number one, you can't throw the ball long enough. You need a long thrower. And number 2 is you don't have a target man. Well, both of those can be nobbled because the Brentford throw-in coach reckons he can add between 5 and 15 metres, add 5 to 15 metres to anybody's length of throw by doing it right. Now, remember, you are only 15 yards from the box. So if he can add 5 to 15 metres, which is slightly bigger, it means he'll get somebody in your team to be able to throw the ball into the box. So that's no excuse not having somebody. You get a decent trainer. Number 2, no target man. But having just looked at most of those throw-ins, just bounce around. You're not throwing it to one person. You're just getting the ball in that box, and you stand a better chance of scoring a goal than throwing it to your mate standing next to you. So on average, per season, if all teams threw the ball into the box, if you all did it all the time, there'd be 1.5 more goals you would score per season. And you think, well, that's not very many. On the other hand, it was more than you did score, and that could mean 3 points and stop you going down, or it could win you the Football League. So why don't people do it? they can find that information as easily as me.
Well, that's an average across the board. It's not necessarily the same for all teams, is it? You'll have some who are better than others, and teams will like to think that they are. They're not about that. They're not about just doing the long ball stuff, as we know that managers like to criticise other teams for.
Even if it scores you goals.
Yeah. But that's where they'll suggest it doesn't, and for their team, and they're playing to their strengths, whereas for others it may well be.
Would you use it, having just learned what I've just said? If you were a manager, would you think, that's interesting?
Later on in the game, yes. Not earlier on, no.
Why?
Because I'd have faith in my attackers to be able to put other things into practice that we've been working on during the week.
Do you use it in your football team? No. Because you like to play good football. Don't want to be seen as a long ball football team. No.
In saying that, in Sunday League, it would score a lot of goals, I think.
There's lots of chaos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The ball could just go anywhere.
Okay. Anything you want to say over anything that's happened this week? What you're looking forward to next, or anything?
Am I looking forward to? Blimey. Looking forward to Liverpool winning 3-0 at the Bernabeu and making it through in the Champions League. That'd be good.
Okay. So everybody, that's the way. Is that the game to watch?
Of course.
That's the game to watch. Okay. And is that Mo hat trick from the penalty spot? No.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, certainly penalties have been our problem this week, haven't they? Liverpool and Wycombe both having missed their penalties. Next week we will, I did say this the other day, but we will discuss what red cards actually mean and the effect they have. And in fact, Man United red card, Wycombe, Burton got a red card. What it meant was they still went on and won. So we'll look at that. And what it means about when you get the red card in the game and the effect that has, and is it a bonus or not to the team. Okay, Kieran, we'll say goodbye. So Kieran, you say goodbye.
Goodbye.
And I'll say goodbye. Goodbye.